Welcome to another deep dive. We're going exploring excerpts you sent us from Wonders of Belize, a journey through tropical paradises and ancient mysteries. Sounds like you're ready for more than just your average beach vacation.
Yeah, definitely.
Huh.
Belize is often seen as just a quick getaway, but these excerpts show there's way more to it. Geography and history, and a really cool mix of cultures, too.
From the very first chapter, Welcome to Belize, it jumps right into how different the landscape is. You've got these coastal plains, and then bam, the Mayan mountains, and those are the tallest mountains in all of Central America.
It's true, and having all that variety is what makes Belize so amazing for plants and animals. It's all about biodiversity. The excerpts even mention endemic species. So, plants and animals that are only found in that one spot.
Wait, really? Only in Belize? Wow, that means protecting those ecosystems is even more important. Do they give any examples of those unique species?
They highlight the mangrove forests along the coast. They're like nurseries for all kinds of marine life. But here's the cool part. Those mangroves also protect the land from erosion. It's like a natural barrier, even against climate change.
That's amazing. One ecosystem doing so much for the whole coastline. It shows how connected everything really is. But Belize has a story that goes way beyond just the present day. The Mayan Marvels chapter really caught my attention. All those ancient cities, Caracal, Zunanatunik, Lamanai, they sound so mysterious.
Well, they are. And what's fascinating is that the Maya in Belize weren't just one big group. Each city was its own thing with its own rulers and architecture. And they were incredibly advanced, especially with astronomy and math. Their understanding of the universe was so sophisticated that their calendar system was even more accurate than the one we use today.
I've always loved learning about ancient cultures and how much they knew about the stars. It's hard to imagine tracking all those movements without modern technology. How did they do it?
The Caracal Observatory is a perfect example. It's built in a way that lines up with the sun, moon, and Venus. The Maya could make incredibly accurate observations from there. But it wasn't just about practicality. The sky was super important to their beliefs and rituals. Their observations shaped how they understood life and death. It's a cool reminder that in a lot of ancient cultures, science and spirituality were closely connected.
It's like their buildings were scientific tools and sacred spaces all at the same time. I wonder what other secrets are hidden in those ancient cities. And speaking of history, the Belize Barrier Reef has a whole other story underwater, right? The excerpts mentioned it's the second largest reef in the whole world, and there's an entire chapter on the Great Blue Hole, which sounds a little scary, but also kind of amazing.
It's definitely unlike anything else. The blue hole wasn't always underwater.
Yeah.
Back during the last ice age, when sea levels were way lower, it was a cave system on dry land. That's why divers see those stalactites and stalagmites today. They formed over thousands of years from dripping water. It's like a window into a totally different time period.
So you're diving into a time capsule, seeing a landscape that existed long before humans. Makes me think of those deep sea documentaries, those crazy creatures that live in total darkness. What kind of marine life would you even see in the blue hole?
Well, the blue hole itself doesn't have as much life as the reef around it, but it's the geological formations and the sheer size of that sinkhole that draw people in. Imagine swimming down and down and the light fading, and then suddenly this huge opening appears below you. It's almost perfectly circular.
That sounds incredible. But I have to ask, what about the reefs around the blue hole? The excerpt said those waters are full of marine life.
Exactly. And that all depends on the health of the reef system. We're talking hundreds of types of coral, thousands of fish species, sea turtles, rays, even dolphins sometimes. And you might even spot a shark near the blue hole drawn in by the nutrients in the water.
It's mind-blowing that one ecosystem can support so much life. It really shows how delicately balanced nature is, especially in a place like Belize. But what about the creatures that live on land? We haven't even gotten to those yet.
That's where things get even more interesting. The excerpts really emphasize the rainforest ecosystems, and they're just as diverse and lively as the reefs. The rainforests in Belize are seriously captivating. The excerpts describe them as like dense and lush and just teeming with life. Colorful toucans, howler monkeys, and even jaguars. It's like stepping into a world that's both ancient and full of energy.
You know, when I picture rainforests, I always think of those canopy tours, zipping through the treetops, like getting a bird's eye view of everything. Do they mention those in the excerpts? It seems like the ultimate way to experience the rainforest.
They do mention canopy tours.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine soaring through the trees and seeing the whole landscape below you. But the excerpts also talk about how important these forests are for the whole planet. They help regulate the climate, absorbing carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. They're essential for us all.
It's easy to get caught up in the adventure and forget about the bigger picture. Good reminder that these ecosystems are way more than just pretty scenery. They're vital for our survival. But speaking of adventure, the excerpts mention hiking trails to hidden waterfalls and caves. I'm always up for a good hike, especially if it leads to a swim.
Oh, yeah. They highlight the Coxcomb Basin Wildlife Sanctuary, which is actually the world's first jaguar preserve. You can hike to the Twin Falls there and take a dip in the natural pool at the bottom. It's a great example of how Belize offers both adventure and those peaceful moments in nature.
A jaguar preserve, that's so cool. Whenever I hear about caves, I always think of like ancient civilizations and hidden mysteries. Did the excerpts talk about any of that? I'm picturing ancient Mayan artifacts hidden deep inside.
You're not far off. They mentioned the Acton Tunicil Muknal Cave, also called the ATM Cave. It's got ancient Mayan pottery tools and even skeletal remains. It really makes you think about the history that's layered within these landscapes.
Whoa, skeletal remains. That's a little creepy, but also super fascinating. What's it like exploring a cave like that?
It's definitely not for everyone. You have to actually swim through underground rivers to reach the deeper parts of the cave. It's like an adventure that combines history, archaeology, and a bit of adrenaline. You're literally swimming through traces of a lost civilization.
Okay, I have to admit, I'm intrigued. Swimming through an underground river to find Mayan artifacts sounds like an Indiana Jones movie. But before we get too carried away with adventure, I'd love to hear more about those rainforest ecosystems. The excerpts talked about the amazing variety of plants. What kind of things would you see there?
The diversity is incredible. You've got towering mahogany trees, vibrant orchids, delicate ferns, even carnivorous plants like pitcher plants. They've adapted to survive in the nutrient-poor soil by trapping insects. It's amazing how nature works.
Carnivorous plants, that's wild. It's like something out of a sci-fi book. Makes you realize how much we still don't know about the natural world. But after all that rainforest exploration, I'm ready for relaxation. Those coastal charms are calling my name. What else do the excerpts highlight besides Ambergris Caye and Caye Caulker?
Well, there's a whole stretch of coastline to discover. They mention Placencia. It's a charming village on a peninsula in southern Belize, known for its relaxed vibe, stunning beaches, and friendly locals.
Okay, that definitely sounds like my kind of place. Laid back, beautiful beaches, friendly people.
Yeah.
What more could you ask for? What kind of things can you do in Placencia?
The waters in Placencia Bay are super calm, perfect for swimming, kayaking, paddleboarding. You can also go snorkeling or diving in the nearby reefs. And the village itself has a great cultural scene, local shops, restaurants, and bars where you can really experience the Belizean way of life.
It sounds like the perfect mix of relaxation and adventure. I can already picture myself walking along those beaches, soaking up the sun, and maybe trying some fresh seafood. Speaking of seafood, we haven't talked about the Belize Barrier Reef yet. The excerpts mentioned it's home to an amazing array of marine life.
Absolutely. The Belize Barrier Reef is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and for good reason. It stretches for over 200 miles along the coast, supporting a whole ecosystem with hundreds of coral species, thousands of fish, sea turtles, raisin dolphins, and even manatees.
Manatees! That's awesome. I've always wanted to see one in the wild. It sounds like the Belize Barrier Reef is a diver's paradise. Did the excerpts mention any specific dive sites?
They highlight the Hol Chan Marine Reserve. It's a protected area known for its colorful coral and tons of fish. And then there's Shark Ray Alley, where you can actually snorkel alongside nurse sharks and stingrays.
Swimming with sharks and stingrays. That sounds both exhilarating and a little scary. But I have to admit it's tempting. What makes those encounters safe?
Both nurse sharks and stingrays are usually pretty chill. And the tour operators who take you to Shark Ray Alley are experienced in making sure things stay safe and responsible. It's more about observing and appreciating these creatures in their natural habitat than anything else.
It's good to hear. It's all about respecting the marine environment. But beyond the thrill of those encounters, what else makes the Belize Barrier Reef so special?
It's the incredible variety of life. You can find everything from tiny, colorful reef fish to massive coral formations that have been growing for centuries. And it's not just about the beauty. The reef protects the coastline from erosion and storms. Plus, it supports the livelihoods of many Belizeans through fishing and tourism.
It's another reminder that these ecosystems aren't just pretty, they're essential for our well-being. But after all that underwater exploration, I'm feeling a little hungry. Time to dive into the delicious food that Belize has to offer. What else do the excerpts highlight besides those traditional dishes we talked about earlier?
Belizean cuisine is a really cool fusion of flavors, and the excerpts capture that perfectly. They mention things like cowfoot soup. It's a slow-cooked soup made with cow feet vegetables and spices. It's hearty and flavorful, reflecting the country's diverse cultural influences.
Cowfoot soup. That's definitely a new one for me. I'm always up for trying new things, but I'm not sure I'm that adventurous. What about something a little more approachable? Maybe something with a Caribbean vibe.
Oh, they talk about boil up. It's a traditional Belizean one-pot meal with fish plantains, cassava yams, and coconut milk. It's flavorful and hearty, perfect for a casual meal.
Boil up. That sounds amazing, like a taste of the Caribbean in one bowl.
What about dessert? Do the excerpts mention any unique Belizean sweets?
You have to try sweet potato pudding. It's a classic dessert made with sweet potatoes, coconut milk, spices, and raisins. Warm, comforting, and delicious, the perfect way to end a meal.
Sweet potato pudding. Now that's something I can get behind. Sounds like a great blend of sweet and savory. But beyond specific dishes, what really stood out to me in the excerpts was how much emphasis they put on the people of Belize. They seem so central to the country's charm.
You're right, Belizeans are known for being warm and hospitable. They have this vibrant culture. The excerpts really highlight how important it is to engage with local communities and experience that culture firsthand.
I'm curious, what are some ways the excerpts suggest we can connect with those communities? Are there any specific experiences or activities that come to mind? They mentioned visiting local villages, participating in cultural activities like drumming and dancing, and even learning some basic Creole phrases, which is their local dialect. It's all about going beyond the typical tourist spots and really immersing yourself in the authentic Belizean way of life.
Learning some Creole phrases, that's a great idea. I always try to pick up a few words or phrases when I travel. It's a fun way to connect with people and show you're interested in their culture. But beyond language, what makes Belizean culture so unique?
Belize has this rich and diverse cultural heritage, influenced by Mayan, African, European, and Caribbean traditions. That blend is reflected in everything from music and dance to food and art. It's a country where you can experience so many different cultures in one day.
It sounds like a fascinating mix. I'm picturing vibrant markets, colorful festivals, music filling the streets. But as much as I love experiencing new cultures, I also want to make sure my travels are responsible and sustainable. Did the excerpts talk about that side of Belizean tourism?
They do. They talk about balancing economic development with environmental protection. They mention challenges like overfishing, deforestation, and climate change, all of which are threats to Belize's fragile ecosystems.
It's a reminder that even paradise has its problems. It really highlights how important responsible tourism is. We need to be aware of our impact and support efforts to protect Belize's natural and cultural heritage.
Exactly. They emphasize choosing tour operators who are committed to sustainable practices, supporting local businesses, and minimizing their environmental footprint. Responsible tourism isn't just about avoiding harm, it's about making a positive contribution.
That's a great point. It's not just about enjoying the beauty of Belize, it's about making sure that beauty is around for future generations. But I have to say, all this talk about Belize is making me want to pack my bags and go.
That's the beauty of a deep dive like this. It's not just about learning information, it's about sparking curiosity and passion and inspiring action.
All right, listener, we've covered a lot in part 2 of our Belize deep dive. From rainforests to reefs, from culture to cuisine, from adventure to relaxation, we've explored what makes this country so special.
And we've looked at it all through the lens of sustainable tourism, understanding how important it is to protect Belize's natural and cultural treasures for the future.
But as we wrap up this segment, we want to leave you with one final thought. Belize is more than just a destination. It's a journey of discovery. It's a journey that will engage your senses, challenge your perspectives, and leave you with a deeper appreciation for the beauty and diversity of our planet.
So as you plan your next adventure, think about Belize. Explore its lush rainforests, dive into its vibrant coral reefs, immerse yourself in its rich culture, and enjoy its delicious cuisine. But most importantly, travel responsibly, leave a positive impact, and create memories that will last a lifetime.
Welcome back to our deep dive. It's hard to believe this is our last segment exploring Belize. We've uncovered so much from those ancient Mayan cities to those incredible islands. My travel bug is definitely buzzing now.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? And thanks to these excerpts from Wonders of Belize, we've gone way beyond just the typical tourist highlights. We've really gotten to the heart of what makes this country so special: the ecosystems, the history, and of course, the warmth of the Belizean people.
Speaking of the people, I'd love to circle back to those cultural experiences we talked about. Visiting local villages, joining in cultural activities, even trying to learn some Creole. It seems like there are so many ways to connect with the culture on a deeper level.
That's so true. That active engagement that makes cultural immersion so powerful. The excerpts mention trying local delicacies, and one that comes to mind that might not be on every tourist menu is gibnut.
Gibnut.
Yeah, it's a type of rodent. Sometimes they call it the royal rat.
Royal rat.
It's considered a delicacy in Belize.
While I applaud adventurous eaters, I think I'll stick to more familiar foods. What other culinary experiences do the excerpts highlight? We've talked about the traditional dishes, but I'm always curious about those unique flavors that really capture the essence of a place.
For a real taste of the Caribbean, they mention conch fritters. They're made with the meat of a large sea snail. Crispy and flavorful, often served with a zesty sauce. It's a dish that's as bright and lively as Belize itself.
Okay, now that's more my style. I can definitely picture myself enjoying some conch fritters by the beach, soaking in that Caribbean vibe. What about something for dessert? Any unique Belizean sweets mentioned?
Oh, you have to try cashew cake. It's a traditional dessert made with cashews, coconut milk, and spices. It's rich and creamy, a real taste of Belize.
Cashew cake. I'm sold. It's amazing how food can transport you to another place. It evokes memories and connects you to a culture in such a special way. But speaking of connections, it makes me think back to those amazing ecosystems we discussed. The excerpts painted such a vivid picture of both the Belize Barrier Reef and the rainforests, and I wonder what's being done to protect these incredible natural resources.
That's a vital part of Belize's story. The excerpts really emphasize sustainable tourism, recognizing that these ecosystems are not only beautiful, but also essential for the country's economy and well-being.
We talked about eco-friendly accommodations and responsible tour operators, but are there other initiatives focused on tackling those environmental challenges facing Belize?
The excerpts highlight the work of organizations like the Belize Audubon Society. They're dedicated to protecting Belize's biodiversity through research, education, and advocacy. They actually manage a number of protected areas, including wildlife sanctuaries and marine reserves, working to preserve these ecosystems for future generations.
It's so inspiring to see groups like that making a real difference on the ground. It shows that there's a growing global awareness about the importance of conservation. But I'm also thinking about the cultural heritage of Belize, which is just as important to preserve as its natural wonders. Did the excerpts talk about any efforts to protect and promote Belizean culture?
They mention the National Institute of Culture and History. They play a huge role in preserving Belize's archaeological sites, promoting traditional arts and crafts, and supporting cultural events and festivals, all to ensure that Belizean culture continues to thrive.
That's wonderful. It's a good reminder that preserving culture isn't just about museums and artifacts. It's about keeping traditions alive, supporting artists, and celebrating what makes a place unique. As we wrap up our deep dive into Belize, I'm feeling a mix of excitement and responsibility. Excitement to experience everything this incredible country has to offer, and a responsibility to do so in a way that respects its people, its culture, and its environment.
You've summed it up perfectly. That's the heart of responsible travel. Approaching travel with curiosity and respect, a willingness to learn and grow, and understanding that our choices, no matter how small, can make a difference in the places we visit.
So, listener, we've journeyed from the depths of the Great Blue Hole to the peaks of the Maya Mountains, from the busy streets of Belize City to those peaceful islands in the Caribbean Sea. We've explored ancient history, vibrant cultures, diverse ecosystems, and tasted some amazing cuisine.
And as with any deep dive, the real journey starts when you resurface, armed with new knowledge, fresh perspectives, and a heart full of inspiration.
So as you plan your next adventure, keep Belize in mind. Explore its wonders, embrace its challenges, and contribute to its future. Travel responsibly, leave a positive impact, and create memories that will stay with you forever.
And until our next deep dive, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep searching for those hidden gems that make our world so extraordinary.